Cowboys can clinch the NFC East and the 2 seed by beating the Commanders. What are you watching
What is
for?
it that Foxy does? I love the fact that they signed Lyle Collins. Bring some more beef and a big body in there. They need to get this going, man, because think about this. Dak has been playing at this level without the complementary run game. Now, if they can get this going, that is when you start having a conversation about Dallas and potentially getting to NFC Championship and playing San Francisco. I'm going to tell you right now, your offense helps you more than your defense when you play the 49ers, as we saw with the Baltimore Ravens. You got to be able to put points on the board. And if you allow them to make you one-dimensional and let those pass rushers get after Dak, it ain't going to turn out how it turned out against the Detroit Lions or anybody else.
Okay, so I'm going to upset you now.
Okay.
But it's not me doing it. It's Fink. It's our coordinating producer, John, stick it in your pipe, Fink. Because all week long, I have set up every Cowboys conversation by talking about them as the 2 seed, by talking about them at home, by talking about can they finally make this run. Mm-hmm. And Fink said, Greeny, you're talking about them like they've already beaten Washington on Sunday. This is the game they blow. This is the game they lose. Look, we know it. We've seen it happen in the last decade. They always lose this game. They cannot lose. They were handed a gift. They were given a present by the Eagles last weekend. There's no way they blow this game Sunday, is there?
If they do, G, I ain't coming back to work. Here's the thing, man. In division, you both of you guys know this. Sometimes the records don't signal how tough and difficult these games are. That's why you see it all the time, teams losing. You see Cleveland beat Baltimore when we know Baltimore's better. You see Pittsburgh beat Baltimore. Like, these are the games where Dallas needs to establish, all right, we in the playoffs, but let's not relax. And 2, they need some momentum going into these playoffs, especially with what I just talked about with that run game. If they blow this game, I'm going to put a sign outside of the facility because I only live 5 minutes from out there and tell them you sickness.
If the difference between winning and losing this game is the difference between being the 2 seed and having every game until the championship game in your building, or being the 5 seed and, let's face it, having no chance whatsoever. Tannenbaum's got one other reason why this might be a little scarier game than you think.
Yeah, and we've been there before. Ron Rivera, presumptively, this is his last game, and he is beloved and well-respected by everybody in the NFL and his own players. And I know Graz will say that they haven't done so far, but this is their last stand, and I'm sure they're going to want to play hard for their coach, who's probably going to be out on Monday. And again, I think Dallas should win. Clearly, they're the better team. But Greeny, like whatever Washington has, my expectation is they'll leave it on the field on Sunday.
Yeah, but you're right, though. Like, why haven't they been doing that for the last month, the way the Chicago Bears have, for example, trying to save their coach's job? Washington feels like they've been fairly checked out. Now, maybe they gather it maybe because it's the Cowboys. Hey, let's mess up the Cowboys postseason. I just haven't seen it from this Washington group in a very long time. And frankly, if the Cowboys don't win the game, one thing I know for sure is that the Eagles won't win their game either, because no one ever repeats as champion of the NFC East. We didn't get to talk about this on Tuesday.
19 years.
I knew it was coming.
Yeah, 19 years.
He talked about it before.
Weird stuff happens. The refs have to mess up the end of the Cowboy game. The Eagles have to blow a lead against the Cardinals. Weird stuff always happens.
You're
I'm telling you.
It took them 10 minutes and 4 seconds to get it in today. So what you're telling us is that if the Cowboys somehow manage to lose this game, then the Eagles will lose to the Giants.
Everybody stop. Everybody stop.
I know that for
Everybody
sure.
stop.
And then I know the Cowboys won't win it next year.
Associating losing. They are not losing the damn
I don't think they're going to lose the game.
Let's ask a serious question.
We got to stop saying that.
Because they should win. And Mike said it. I mean, they're the better team. They should win. If they're going to do any of the things that we expect them to have a shot to finally do this year, you got to take care of business
100%.
on the road. Is this... We've seen the disappointments so many times, so many years in a row. No one agonizes it with it more than you do. Why is it different? What feels different about this year?
One, you win this game, it's your best chance to at least get to the NFC Championship.
Right.
Because you're at home. The second thing is your quarterback is playing at a higher level than he's ever played. And 2, we've seen Dallas play at elite levels at times during this season, and if they could just sustain that. And here's what the playoffs are about. Speaking from a guy that didn't win many of these games, but listening to dudes that won Super Bowls, it's a 3-hour window, right? It's a 3-hour window of being a really good team, having a little bit of luck, and playmakers making plays. That is why we think San Francisco is the favorites, because when you look at the team, they littered with the Jimmies and Joes. And usually in the playoffs, that's what it boils down to. But Dallas got some Jimmies and Joes now.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key to them getting to the NFC Championship and having a chance.
Yeah, Swagu, they have a couple of things. They could score. They have the best quarterback in the NFC, in my opinion, and they could rush the passer. But their Achilles heel is their run defense, and if they score enough points, they can mask it.
The road thing is interesting, too, but their last road game in Miami, they did not win it, but they were not run out of the building like they were in Arizona and San Francisco. So they have a little bit, maybe a little bit something like momentum in terms of that.
All right, we are just getting rolling today. It is a special weekend coming up. This is all about the Bills and the Dolphins. Who will have more total touchdowns, Josh Allen or Tua?
Josh Allen. The legs have become a problem for people, and I think it's this new iteration of the offense. We see him pushing the ball down the field a lot more comfortable. Some throws I didn't like against New England, but that's Bill Belichick's defense, who's been playing good all year. I think Josh Allen is going to have more total TDs than Tua.
Graz, who will have more catches, Stephon Diggs or Tyreek Hill?
Tyreek Hill, he's going to have to. It doesn't sound like they'll have Jalen Waddle in this game. They're banged up at running back. I think this is going to be a game where Tyreek Hill has to perform at a high level if they are going to win. Plus, Josh Allen has completed a total of 37 passes in his last 3 games. So it may be that Stephon Diggs doesn't get nearly as many opportunities to catch the ball as Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, because they've been running it like crazy, which brings us, Mike T, to this. Who will have more rushing yards, James Cook or Devon Achane?
James Cook, same line of thinking. They have become a run team. They're averaging 37 rushing attempts per game since Joe Brady took over. That's who they are. They're throwing it less. They're turning the ball over less. And James Cook is a really important part of this offense, not just rushing, but also receiving.
Yeah, but Josh Allen remains the focal point whenever you're dealing with Buffalo. And if you don't believe me, just ask the Dolphins' legendary defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio, who had this praise for Allen, comparing him to an all-time great.
This guy is the new John Elway on steroids. And I don't mean he's taking steroids. He's just bigger, faster, cannon for an arm, tough. You know, he's a dude.
Of that, there is no question. But you just made the point, and Mike T, we were going to do a Mike T loves a graphic. We were from the time that Joe Brady became the offensive play caller in Buffalo, they legitimately have become a rushing team. I mean, the numbers are stark. Is that the formula for them on Sunday night?
Absolutely. And we actually do have a graphic.
We did the graphic.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go. This is Joe Brady, Greeny, exactly to your point. And I think most significantly, and Swagu, you'll appreciate this as a guy that had the pick 6, look at the turnovers. So with a defensive head coach in Sean McDermott, Greeny, what they're saying is we could run with James Cook and Josh Allen, and look what it's doing for the turnovers.
So Marcus, let's talk about that a minute here, though. Because what Allen remains is the guy who, if you need him to, can put on the cape, right? I mean, if you he can put the team on his back. So is this a Josh Allen game on Sunday night, or is this that balanced rushing attack offense?
It's that balanced game, once again. And I think for Joe Brady, I think his mindset is we pull that's break glass in case of an emergency for Josh Allen. And that's a luxury. That's something that I've talked about for years with the Buffalo Bills. I think it cost them an opportunity to get to an AFC championship or even a Super Bowl before this, is the fact that they wouldn't run the ball. Remember, this was the same team that had Devin Singletary, who's running the rock like crazy in Houston. They just didn't lean into it. Remember the conversations we had as well when Brian Daboll was the coach, and that is when we got into, well, Josh Allen's career going to be short if he keeps running the ball.
Right.
And we were all talking about the chances that he took on scrambles, but also the design quarterback run. What Joe Brady has done is said this, man. Look, Josh, this is the plan that we're going to go by until we need you to become the guy that everybody knows you can be in certain moments. And you know what it does for Josh? It takes the pressure off of him. Yeah. You don't go into a game saying, I'm going to have to make 50 plays in order for us to win. And you know me, I hate the turnovers. Yeah. The turnovers have been a thing. It's not something that you can avoid. But I think Josh Allen now has the most help that he's had outside of having Brian Daboll as a play caller.
Go back to Mike T's graphic. Those last 5 games, he has reached 60% completion in one of them. He is not, statistically, he's not doing much of anything except he's running the ball. He's got a lot of rush. He's got 5 touchdown passes and 4 interceptions in that stretch. But they've won 4 of the 5 games. So I think they're going to stick with what's working because they don't care if it's pretty.
Right.
They just want to win the game.
Green, I've been really fortunate to work with a lot of great defensive coaches, Parcells, Belichick, Rex, Mangini, and they all say the same thing. They hate when the quarterback can make plays with his legs. It really affects the spacing. Most of the time, it's a great athlete, but Josh Allen's so big, like he could run past you, but he could run over you. And again, I think Sunday night where it's a winner take all, he's going in there with a neck injury, but he plays so physically. That's what's so unusual about his ability.
So I might surprise some people by asking Will to put the picks on the screen here. I'll tell you, I was a little bit surprised when I saw that I'm the only one on Buffalo. Yeah. Why do you like the Dolphins in this?
I think it's a home game. I think this is desperation. I think coming off that loss against Baltimore, there's going to be a lot of incentive. And the only thing that scares me is the Bradley Chubb injury because you need all hands on deck.
It's awful. They've lost their 2 pass rushers in the last month.
But this is my thought. You look at Buffalo's defense over the last 3 games, they've lived by pressure. This is not the team to miss when you pressure it. Because if you miss, it's to the crib.
Explain what that means.
So I'm sending. Sean McDermott has been sending secondary guys in pressure. His safeties, Hoyer and Poyer, they've been involved in blitzes. That leaves you manned up on the outside. And we know what number 10 does when you leave him manned up 1 too many times. And this is football.
Yeah.
It only takes 3 plays to score 21 points. And this is the team that can do it. So I'm not 100% all in with Miami. I think they have an opportunity based on what I've seen from Buffalo defense to be explosive.
Reading very similar, and Hembo gave me the stat to illustrate the point. If Tyreek Hill hits 2 home runs, they win the game. He has 12 touchdowns. On those 12 touchdowns, he averages 38 yards per touchdown. So that's why I think he could flip the game all by himself.
Yeah, that's insane. But I think I love it when we can give folks things to watch for. So you're saying specifically Buffalo likes to bring that pressure. Yeah. That's going to leave someone out there all by themselves with Tyreek Hill. If that pressure doesn't get home, then Hill could have a very big night.
And I think that's the key, right? Because the Dolphins, I was shocked too. I thought I'd be the only one on Miami.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm worried is the injuries. It's not just Bradley Chubb, right? Like they're beat up on offense too, and so that's a concern. But the fact that it's in Miami, Buffalo has been winning, but they haven't been looking fantastic, right? Like they don't look.
The Patriots game had something to do with my pick.
Right. So I think it's about Tua and Tyreek getting together and hitting a couple of really massive plays. That 38-yard average would be higher if there wasn't a goal line. Like he'd keep running. Right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I think Achane is going to be big in this game.
Yeah. He's got no Mostert, no Waddle.
Oh, I know.
They've lost Jalen Phillips. They've lost Bradley Chubb. What are the chances that Russell Wilson leaves the Broncos?
100%. You know what 100% mean? It mean I passed the test with flying colors.
Yeah.
Listen, we all know the saga that has played out between his benching, the asking of the contract situation, and then Sean Payton coming out and saying, we believe in Jarrett Stidham. Stop lying. I know you're Sean, but you're lying. Russ somewhere else, which is good for Russ, which is good. Obviously, Denver Fields is good for them. But I think Russ had a kind of resurgence this year to at least show people I can be a competent quarterback. I can play winning football, and I can also go through adversity and bounce back. Remember, this team a few weeks ago, we were talking about with a chance to make the playoffs because of how he was playing in this defense.
And Mike T, from a general manager's perspective, he's going to be a bargain for somebody, right?
It didn't happen in a good way, but he hit the lottery because Denver has to pay him $39 million, so someone's going to sign for the minimum. So the Pittsburghs of the world, New England's, everyone will be in on him. And Russell Wilson will be the most prized and unusual free agent in a few weeks, Greeny.
Again, whether you think he's the best player available or not, you can get him, to Mike T's point, for almost nothing. What should we expect with Russell Wilson this offseason?
I don't know that he's going to be anyone's top choice, but he's going to be a good choice for somebody because, I mean, look, he's going to be 36, right? 2 teams have given up on him in the last 3 years. Like, there's stuff working against him, but for that price, I think somebody's going to take a shot on it.
And then there's another quarterback who is probably going to be available, who is much younger and in a different situation, Graziano. What are the chances that the Bears keep Justin Fields?
I put it at 15%. And I know, look, I think the Bears are aware that the fan base is at a point where a lot of them favor keeping Justin Fields. He's been playing well, he's fun, and he's exciting. But fundamentally, he's going into year 4. You're still not entirely sure what he's going to be long-term in terms of a franchise quarterback. You have the first pick. If you evaluate Caleb Williams or Drake May or whoever as a transformational franchise quarterback, then you have to make that pick.
Yeah.
You have to reset the contract to a rookie contract and get what you can get for Justin Fields. It doesn't mean you don't like Fields. It just means this option, big picture, all factors thrown together, is the better one.
Do you? Do you have to do it?
I don't think you have to, but what Graz is saying is what we've seen this league do time and time again. And then, too, like, I think this would be good for Justin, right? Like, because if there is any inkling in his mind that this team is going to move on, he can start preparing himself for a future somewhere else. And I'm going to tell you this, man. He's in his 4th year in the league, and he may be old to Chicago.
Yeah.
But this playmaking we've seen over the last 3 or 4 weeks is somebody's going to be very enamored by that and what they can do with that.
I'll tell you, it's going to be more exciting to teams than $1 million Russell Wilson is.
Yes,
like not necessarily a better choice or more reliable, but more exciting.
More exciting.
And I think what you have to say is if you're Atlanta and we could get Justin Fields for, let's say, a second-round pick and pay him $35 million a year and say, I have a young ascending quarterback, and now we took care of that problem that we haven't fixed. And then if we're Chicago, look, it's $9.5 million a year for 4 years for maybe the best young quarterback we've seen in a long time.
I get that. But everybody is the best young quarterback we've seen in a long time, and half of them don't wind up being that, Mike. That's the problem. And here's the other thing. Caleb Williams doesn't have to be better than Justin Fields. He has to be 3 first-round picks better, right? You're turning down 3 ones. So what are the chances that Caleb, look, I love the kid, Caleb Williams. This is not in any way meant to suggest I don't think he's going to be great. I hope he winds up being the greatest player of all time. But he's got to be 3 ones better than Justin Fields to make that work, right?
No, I don't see it that way because if you go back over the last 10 years, they passed on Patrick Mahomes. They passed on C.J. Stroud. And to Graz's point, like, if Caleb Williams is a great quarterback, let's not overcomplicate. Get that position pegged. And Justin Fields, to me, is a good to very good quarterback. The ceiling, to me, is much higher for Williams.
And that's the thing, right? Justin Fields is still young, and he still has ceiling, but you've had him, and you're at the point now where going into year 4, it's time to think about extending him. It's not just, do we keep Justin Fields? It's, do we extend Justin Fields? And if you're still not 100% sure about him, and you love this other guy, and it's that much cheaper, then I think you got to.
The problem is it's the business part.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because I think everybody can look at, well, I'm not going to say everybody. I know a lot of us can look at Justin Fields and say, that can be a winning quarterback in the NFL.
Sure.
Yes.
And he can be a high-level winning quarterback in the NFL. But now you got that implementation of the business side. Now, if I can get a Caleb Williams for cheaper, who turns out to be better, I don't think it has to be 3 ones better. I think it just needs to be better than the trajectory that we felt we had with Justin Fields and younger. And maybe we have some of that experience with this guy of winning early because we can build around him. Caleb is going to walk into, him or Drake May, whoever they take first, is going to walk into a way better situation than Justin Fields walked into.
That's right. Well, I think that's making the argument on the other side, to be honest with you. I think the most important assessment that any organization of any kind and maybe an individual can make is a self-assessment. The Bears need to look in the mirror and say, what role have we played in Justin Fields not turning into the player that we thought he might be when we first drafted him?
Right.
And if they're starting to get it right, maybe they get it right around him and Marvin Harrison and one other good receiver and another offensive lineman. Right. And all these picks that you get, and those guys are cheap too. Yep. So I understand you're not getting the cheap quarterback, but you're getting a bunch of other inexpensive players with these draft picks.
Totally fair, but at the end of the day, Green, we should be able to go get an offensive lineman. We should be able to go get another receiver too. But if Caleb Williams is close to this transformational player, that is really hard to find.
It is to Justin Fields and the Bears' credit that they've played well enough over the last month that this is a conversation.
That this is a conversation.
Yes.
And do you think Caleb Williams or Drake May is going to be Joe Burrow?
Right.
That's the question you got to ask yourself.
If the answer to that is yes, then
Right.
it's a no-brainer.
Of course. But how many? The reason we say that is because the Joe Burrows are 1 in a million.
They say Caleb is.
And Green, to your point,
they told me Trevor Lawrence was that. They tell me guys are that all the time.
Gee, I'm with you. I don't want them to get rid of Justin.
And here's the one question on Caleb Williams. Lincoln Riley's a really good coach, and his turnovers haven't gotten better. That is the one question he's going to have to answer between now and the draft.
I don't I love the kid. I hope he's great. I'm not in any way. I'm merely saying this idea that it is a fait accompli does not make sense to me.
Okay.
No, well,
I'm gonna put myself
Belichick,
myself in the draft position of the Chicago Bears.
Go.
I'm keeping Justin Fields. I'm drafting Marvin Harrison Jr.
Right.
And at 10, I'm drafting the offensive lineman.
And that is for you, Mike Tannenbaum. What are the chances that Bill Belichick is back with the Patriots next year?
You know, Greedy, I put it at 25%. Look, it looks like it's close to the end here. He's going to be 72, arguably the greatest coach in the history of our game. It hasn't gone well. 3 of the last 4 years are losing seasons, but I think there is a puncher's chance that he gets in a room with Mr. Kraft on Monday and they figure out a path forward.
All right, so, Will, let's kill the soundbite here. I'll just paraphrase because we went longer than we meant to. Mike Reese came on yesterday and just basically told us that on Monday, Belichick will meet with Robert and Jonathan Kraft, talk about where things have gone, and they will figure out together amongst the 3 of them what happens from here. And so what is your expectation there? You had the story a few weeks ago. I mean, signs seem to be pointing to this being the end.
Yes, signs seem to be pointing that way, but it is Bill Belichick. It is the Patriots. We don't know really until the very end what the owner will ultimately do. We do all this reporting on these coaching situations, what seems likely to happen, what we think will happen, and in the end, the owners of these teams are the only ones that can decide, and we're really not in their heads. So, can Bill Belichick convince Robert Kraft in a Monday meeting that he deserves to stay on for another year or two, long enough to break that Don Shula record? Can they come to some kind of an arrangement where they bring in somebody to help out with personnel, maybe a GM, which Belichick has been for 20 plus years?
Right.
Would Belichick be okay with an arrangement like that? I think there are things that can be done that save it. I still think it's more likely that someone else is coaching the team next year. But I can't get anyone to tell me it's 100%.
Reese did say that.
Yeah.
That Belichick might be open to the idea of somebody knows well, somebody he's comfortable with, I don't know, someone he has sauna'd with on occasion, coming in and handling personnel for him. Mike Tannenbaum?
Don't feel no pressure. I'm just looking at you.
I'm really happy here. You trying to get rid of me?
No,
I was going to say.
I'm merely
Trying
saying.
to put you in your position that you used to.
Jonathan Kraft? Oh, yeah. Hi.
Look,
Nice to hear from you.
I know there's another former Jet that sits here every Monday with like a billboard up, but I'm actually pretty happy here. So
Love it.
Bring Rex in as the defensive coordinator.
yeah, there you go.
I just don't want Mike T to be a GM again because then he'll stop returning my texts.
We'll see.
This is part of the
All right,
contract.
we'll see. We got a huge weekend coming up. There's a lot of decisions that are going to get made.